Hello, Williams family. This is Coach Croxton. Just wanted to do a quick pitching analysis review of Jason's pitching mechanics. And what I'm doing is comparing him from when I first saw him and recorded him back in October 2015 with warm-up pitches from his first preseason or scrimmage game in April of 2016. So they're both actually practice pitches, although one is getting ready for a game, but they're pretty much the same type of intensity, so it makes it easier to analyze. So I'm going to walk through, kind of step by step and point some things out. One of the very first things I want to point out is you look at the top, you kind of look at the bill of Jason's cap. The bill of his cap is up. I don't know if it's just tilted up, but it also looks like his eyes, are slightly tilted up as well. You see here the bill of his cap is straight. You see his eyes are straight and laser focus at his target. Hands a little bit further apart from his body here than they are here, which is a change we made because I felt like he was just too tight. So notice his elbows kind of have some space off of his body at the bottom. At the top, his elbows are kind of real close to his body. So we're going to start moving Jason along into his windup. So one big thing to notice, obviously, he used to step to the side, which also turned his shoulders early, which we wanted to eliminate. And also we wanted to make sure that he could maintain good dynamic balance, which he doesn't at the top. At the bottom, you can clearly see he's still very much balanced. He hasn't started doing any rotation, and his back foot has pretty much stepped back straight on pretty much a 45-degree angle, kind of hard to see from here. But what we have at the bottom is closer to what we want and what we're going to build on over the course of this winter and this spring during this high school season. So take Jason to his pivot and then into his knee lift. You can see the bottom of Jason's cleat, which we don't want. We want his knee up, but we want his toe down. So he actually has a higher knee lift at the top, and we're going to freeze his knee lift at the top about here, toes up, and then I'm going to take him to his full knee lift at the bottom about here. Yeah, that's the height of his knee lift. So as I said, Jason's knee lift is higher at the top, but he's more balanced at the bottom. Notice also his hand position, more horizontal versus here vertical, which is not a huge deal, but for Jason, everything kind of revolved around balance, not rotating early and things of that nature, and just getting into better positions at each phase of the delivery. I feel like he's in a better position right now than he was before at the top. So the bottom is, again, what we like, what we want, and what we're going to build from. So now let's take him into his stride, which is his front leg, front foot going down, and then towards the plate. His front leg is fully extended here, where here it goes down and then forward, which is more of what we want. Notice how he's kind of collapsed on his back leg. Kind of the same thing here, but the one thing that we will notice with his upper body real quick is how tilted his shoulders are here versus how straight they are, or pretty much in line. Some tilt is good for him. That exaggerated tilt at the top wasn't helping him much at all. Wasn't helping him at all, actually. So let's clear these, go into his stride. Notice, look how much further he's gotten at the bottom in terms of the timing as well as the distance. I wish I could take this line, from here to here and then have the same length line. Just copy and paste it. But, you can clearly see he has gotten a further distance between his feet, which has resulted in more power. Also, look at his back leg drive. That's a decent drive at this point where his hips have gotten through. At the top, he's pretty much in the same position. Look how weak the back leg looks. And I'm going to illustrate, you know, with a line. If we go from hip to knee to ankle, we look at the top, it's really, really broken. It might look straight at the top, but this is really what we see. We see like from the hip to the knee, then we see like from the hip to the knee, and then the knee to the ankle is more like that. If we look at the bottom, we can see pretty much a straight line. I mean, it is broken a little bit, but it's a lot better than where it was before. So, hopefully you can see that difference. But that's huge as far as power is concerned. I also noticed he started to, rotate his chest forward more and see how much further his chest is forward. And I'll just kind of illustrate that by drawing a straight line through, pretty much his center of gravity. Let me redo that one. So not too much difference there, but you can clearly see that his chest is a lot more forward in the bottom shot than it is in the top shot. You can also see that his arm has started to rotate and come around a little bit earlier. You might not be able to see it, but I can just let you know. His throwing arm has started to rotate early. Up here, his throwing arm is still back behind his head, and it is starting to rotate, but it's rotating a little later. So let's go here. Now, this is where you can really tell. Let's draw that straight line again. So you can see even Jason's head is forward above his center of gravity at the bottom. You can see his head is pretty much still through or still at that center of gravity. Also, we can see Jason's chest is a little bit forward as well, where here his chest is at the top, still straight up and down. So from here, something very, very important I want to point out is this point here. And then I'm going to, it looks like they're pretty well synced up here. So I'm going to draw another straight line, but I want to focus on his head position and elbow position. And we can even look at the front leg position as well. Notice how at the bottom, his elbow and his face are pretty much exactly at the same place right now. And we can say pretty much the same thing at the top, about here. So notice how much, which I have my measuring tool, but how much forward Jason's trunk is here, or upper body or torso, than it is here. See how it's almost more vertical at the top, whereas it's forward more at the bottom. So that means he's getting more energy up the chain through from his feet all the way up to the top of his body, which is going to come out of his hand. But again, let's focus on just his head and his elbow as he prepares to release the ball. So looks good. So notice in the bottom, well, let's focus on the top. Notice how his elbow at the top pushes through the line, and then his forearm gets into the delivery and releases the ball. And let's look at the bottom now. All right, so let's focus on the bottom now. Notice how, boom, as soon as his elbow gets to this line or gets to his face and gets to his knee, his forearm immediately gets into delivery and releases the ball out in front of his face. So that's huge because that puts him at less risk for injury. And then notice how Jason is balanced at the bottom because his weight is going forward. And then notice at the top, his weight is going somewhere other than forward in a different direction, which is not what we want. So this is just a brief analysis of Jason Williams comparison from October 2015 to April 2016. Look forward to working with him even more over this winter, keep improving his mechanics, and have a successful high school season moving into the spring, summer season.